The debate about the role of alcohol in the rapid spread of COVID-19 continues. There have been a number of reports that liquor traders and their customers are not adhering to safety measures. However, liquor associations have warned that more than 250,000 people stand to lose their jobs if government imposes full restrictions on alcohol sales. Now, for more reaction as to how the liquor industry can contribute towards the curbing of the spread, I'm now joined by Maurice Smithers, a director at the Southern African Alcohol Policy Alliance. Mr. Smithers, thank you so much for your time. This afternoon. Now, will a hard lockdown really see a curb or decrease in COVID-19 related cases? What are you for? Are you for a complete ban or just further restrictions from government?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. First of all, let me just say that we're not going to really advise what the liquor industry can do, but what we think government should be doing. We don't support the idea of a full ban. It may well have had a place in the beginning of the pandemic, but there were a lot of unintended consequences, as we all know. And we think that it's best to avoid those at this point in time, particularly the economic consequences. But also we don't want to encourage some of the negative things that happened around the time of the full ban, where there were some people producing illicit liquor. There was an underground market happening, and there was also some robberies of liquor stores in order to get access to liquor. So we think a complete ban is not a good idea, but what we do believe is that greater restrictions are necessary. And the main reason for that is that the problem around liquor is what happens in social gatherings. When people get together drinking, that's when the difficulties begin, because once people have had 2 or 3 drinks, they begin to forget about the normal COVID-19 protocols, the wearing of a mask, the social distancing, and so on. And that's then what leads to the spread of the virus, as we saw with the matric rage and with various other high super spreader events in the Eastern Cape as well, and so on.
Now, what more do you think that the liquor industry themselves can do to try and just prevent some of the things that we are seeing? I mean, when the ban was lifted and stricter restrictions were, just lowered in a sense across the country, we did see a lot of behavior that we saw pre-COVID starting to creep up again. And now we're sitting on what is called the second wave, where we are now at the 1 million mark since March of COVID-19 related infections. What can outlets do to show direction and leadership in a sense, so that people can start behaving in a way in which we want them to behave?
Part of the problem, and this is why I go back to saying that we're not really talking about what the liquor industry can do, but rather about what government can do. And the reason why we are saying that is, right now, one of the things the liquor industry is saying is that they were hoping that this period would enable them to make up the losses for the first 9 months of the year as a result of COVID. So it's very hard to expect a liquor outlet that is trying to make money to expect them to turn away customers, for example, or to go to customers who are not observing COVID-19 protocols and say to them, who might already be drunk, and then go and say to them, you've got to be observing these protocols, because, it's likely to turn into a fight, it's likely to turn into an argument. And so therefore, we don't think that at the end, obviously there are steps they can take. But at the end of the day, it's government's responsibility to make sure that people actually do stick within the regulations. And that's why we believe that we should be following the same route that, in fact, they followed in Europe. If you look at Britain, Belgium, Germany, Italy, parts of America, all the countries in the world, Mexico, I think recently, all the countries in the world where there has been a second wave of the virus and a surge in cases, one of the first things they've done is to close down on consumption outlets. because it's in the on-consumption outlets that people are coming into close proximity with each other, getting drunk, and then forgetting the protocols of COVID. We're not saying ban alcohol altogether. So the off-consumption outlets can stay open. People can go and buy alcohol. They can take it home and consume it at home. And then again, gatherings perhaps should be more limited than they are, particularly social gatherings, where again, in certain countries in Europe, they've restricted gatherings to 5 people from 2 families can meet together. These are the hard steps that we have to take in order to prevent the spread of the virus. But we can do it, as I said, without having to ban alcohol altogether. Rather just allow people to buy the alcohol, take it home and consume it at home, rather than actually consuming it in pubs, restaurants, taverns, and so on, where people are in close proximity to each other and where the spread of the virus can happen more easily.
Another recommendation you are making as a SAPA is that during this lockdown and the state of disaster act that we are currently under, you're proposing that there should be some form of pause or halt in advertising of liquor. How do you propose this to go by?
No, absolutely. Look, government itself recognized firstly that advertising is a problem, which is why they introduced the Control of Marketing of Alcohol Beverages Bill in 2013, which unfortunately didn't ever see the light of day as a result of opposition from within cabinet itself. But globally, it's recognized by the World Health Organization and researchers around the world that alcohol advertising, like tobacco advertising before it, contributes to the normalization of drinking and the normalization of smoking back in the days of tobacco advertising. And so advertising anyway should be restricted, and that is allowed for in the Liquor Amendment Bill, which is still pending. But right now, everybody is saying, government is saying, public health practitioners are saying to people, don't drink excessively, reduce your intake. Now, why would we then encourage people to be drinking through advertising? And why would we be encouraging people to drink through making offers of special prices, special discount prices if you buy in bulk? Because all you're doing is encouraging people to drink. It's hard enough for people to deal with the fact that they have less access to alcohol than they had before, than to have it rubbed in their noses almost by seeing an advert on television or an advert in a newspaper that's encouraging them to go out and buy alcohol. So we just think it's counterintuitive to have advertising, and government should simply say that for the rest of the state of disaster, no advertising of alcohol and no special offers, as a way of trying to assist people who are drinkers to moderate their drinking habits.
All right, thank you so much for your time, Maurice. I think that's where we have to end it for this afternoon. Maurice Smithers, Director, Southern African Alcohol Policy Alliance.